You changed the server passwords last week, Harper. Did you really think that would keep me out of the client files? Stella told me everything. You've been meeting with that investigator behind my back for months. What exactly are you trying to do here? Hi, my name is Harper Quinn. I am 27 years old. The coffee mug was still warm in my hands when Liam set his phone on the kitchen counter between us. The screen showed 3 lines of an email I had sent to Wyatt Ellis 2 nights earlier. Nothing dramatic, just a request for the latest bank statements on the old operating account. Liam had printed it out and circled the date in red. I placed the mug down without drinking. You went through my email. He laughed once, short and sharp. It's my company, too. Or did you forget whose name is still on the incorporation papers? Stella's name appeared in the email thread. Liam tapped it with one finger. She said you've been asking her for old login credentials. She said you sounded nervous. That's when I knew you were planning something. I kept my face still. 3 years of learning how to do that had paid off. Stella's your best friend. She's not mine anymore. That's convenient. He leaned against the counter. The apartment was small, one of the cheap ones near the ship channel that still had decent Wi-Fi. We had moved here after the first lawsuit wiped out the downtown office lease. You think I don't know you've been rebuilding something on the side, new clients? Quiet ones? The ones you told me were too small to bother with? I didn't answer. The silence stretched. He wanted me to fill it. I didn't. He pushed the printed email closer. Wyatt Ellis, private investigator. You hired him 6 months ago. Stella found the retainer invoice in the old bookkeeping folder. She showed it to me last night. My stomach tightened once, then settled. 6 months was longer than I thought they would take to notice. I had been careful, not careful enough. Liam's voice dropped. You're trying to take the company back after everything we did to save it. We. He still said we. I met his eyes. You and Stella saved it by putting my name on every questionable invoice for 18 months. Then you filed the complaint with the Port Authority when the first audit hit. I remember the timeline. His jaw tightened. That was new. He usually stayed calm until the end. You left us no choice. You were already pulling money out. Stella saw the transfers. There were no transfers. My voice stayed even. You created them in the books after I was gone. He picked up the phone again, scrolled, then explained this. He turned the screen toward me, a photo of a document, my signature at the bottom, a loan agreement I had never seen, dated 2 weeks after I walked out of the mediation room with nothing but the clothes I was wearing. The signature looked like mine. The notary stamp was real. I felt the first cold thread of something that wasn't anger. It was recognition. They had practiced. Liam watched my face. Stella's brother works at the bank. He helped with the paperwork. You were already out of the picture. It was easy to finish what you started, Stella's brother. I hadn't known he existed until that moment. Another piece I had missed. I stood up, the chair legs scraped the cheap tile. I need to get Nova ready for school. He didn't move. We're not done. We're done when I say we are. I walked past him into the hallway. Nova's door was closed. I could hear the low hum of her tablet playing one of the learning videos she liked. She was 6. She still believed the adults in her life told the truth. I stopped with my hand on the knob. Behind me, Liam spoke again, quieter. If you go to the investigators with whatever you think you have, Stella and I will make sure Nova knows exactly who her mother really is. A woman who tried to steal from her own family business and got caught. I didn't turn around. You already did that 3 years ago. She was 3. She doesn't remember the office. She remembers the apartment and the nights I came home late from the warehouse job. I opened the door. Nova looked up from the tablet. Her hair was messy from sleep. She smiled the small, careful smile she had learned in the last year. "Morning, Mom." "Morning, baby. We need to leave in 20 minutes. She nodded and started gathering her things without being asked. She had become good at that too. I closed the door behind me and stood in the hallway for 3 seconds. My hands were steady. My breathing was steady. The part of me that used to feel things had learned to wait. Liam was still in the kitchen when I came back out. He had poured himself coffee. He didn't offer me any. "I'm taking her to school," I said. "Then I have a meeting with Wyatt Ellis." I didn't answer. I picked up my bag and Nova's backpack. She came out of her room with her shoes already on. She looked at Liam once, then at me. She didn't ask what we had been talking about. She'd stopped asking those questions 6 months ago. We left without saying goodbye. The drive to school was quiet. Nova watched the traffic out the window. At a red light, she spoke. "Mom, is Dad mad again? I kept my eyes on the road." "He's worried about work." She was quiet for another block. Then Luna said sometimes grown-ups say things they don't mean when they're worried. Luna. The nanny I had hired 4 months ago when the warehouse shifts got longer. She was 24, quiet good with Nova. She stayed late some nights when I had to meet Wyatt. I hadn't told her why. She hadn't asked. I glanced at Nova in the rearview mirror. Luna's smart. Nova nodded like that settled something. She went back to watching the cars. I dropped her at the front of the school. She hugged me quickly and ran inside without looking back. I waited until the door closed behind her before I pulled away. My phone buzzed as I merged onto the highway. A text from Wyatt Ellis. "Call me when you can." New development on the loan docs. Not good. I didn't reply. I drove to the small coffee shop 2 exits down where we usually met. It was the kind of place with bad lighting and strong coffee and nobody who cared who you were. Wyatt was already in the corner booth. He had a folder on the table. I slid in across from him. Liam knows about the emails. Wyatt didn't look surprised. Stella told him, apparently. He pushed the folder toward me. "Then you need to see this before they do anything else." I opened it. Inside were printouts of the loan agreement Liam had shown me that morning. The signature page, my name, the date, and underneath it a second document, a wire transfer authorization from the same week. Also my signature. Also fake. Wyatt tapped the second page. "The bank processed it the day after you lost the mediation. $68,000 moved to an account in Stella's brother's name. Then it disappeared into 3 shell companies. One of them still has active contracts with 2 of your old port clients." I closed the folder. "How long have you known?" 2 weeks. I was waiting for the paper trail to firm up before I told you. The brother's name is on the receiving account. Juniper Simmons flagged it when she ran the compliance check last month. She's the branch manager at the old bank. She remembered you. She pulled the original signature cards and compared them. The ones on the loan and the wire are close, but not exact. She's willing to sign an affidavit. Juniper Simmons. Another name I hadn't known existed until today. I looked at Wyatt. What does this change? It changes who gets arrested first. If we take this to the district attorney now, they can move on Stella's brother before he moves the rest of the money. But Liam and Stella will know it came from you. They'll come after whatever you've been rebuilding. I thought about Nova's small backpack, the way she'd stopped asking questions. The nights I came home too tired to read her a story. They already came after it, I said. 3 years ago. This is just them finishing the job. Wyatt waited. He was good at waiting. I closed the folder and slid it back. "Send everything to Indigo Price. She's still at the old client list. She's been feeding me the contract language they've been using on the new deals. She'll know what to do with the affidavit." Indigo had been the only person who called after the mediation. Everyone else had gone quiet. She sent one message. If you ever need someone who still has the original files, I kept copies. I had met her once in a parking garage. She gave me a thumb drive. I never asked how she got it out of the office. Wyatt nodded. And Luna stays with Nova. She doesn't know the details. Keep it that way. He stood up. You're running out of time, Harper. They're not going to wait for you to finish whatever plan you have. I know. He left. I stayed in the booth another 10 minutes. The coffee had gone cold. I didn't drink it. When I got back to the apartment, the lights were off. Liam's car was gone. He had left a note on the counter in his neat handwriting. We're not done talking. Stella's coming over tonight. Be here. I read it twice. Then I folded it and put it in the drawer with the other notes he had left over the last year. I didn't throw them away. I kept them the same way I kept everything else. Nova's tablet was on the couch where she had left it that morning. I picked it up. The screen was still on the last video she had watched. A cartoon about how machines work. She liked those. She liked understanding how things fit together. I opened the hidden folder she didn't know I knew about. The one with the audio files, 43 of them, dates going back 4 months. Most were short. Some were just background noise, but 3 of them had clear voices. Liam, Stella, and once Stella's brother. I didn't play them. I already knew what they said. I had listened the first night Luna told me Nova had been recording when the adults thought she was asleep. Luna had found the tablet under the couch cushion. She brought it to me without asking questions. I closed the folder and set the tablet back exactly where Nova had left it. Then I called Indigo Price. She answered on the second ring. Harper, I need you to do something for me tonight. Name it. Stella and Liam are coming here. I want you to be outside. If anything happens that sounds like they're moving money or destroying records, I want you to document it. Wyatt will send you the loan docs in the next hour. Compare them to the originals you kept. Indigo was quiet for a second. You're sure about this? I've been sure for 3 years. She didn't argue. I'll be there by 7. I hung up. The apartment was quiet. I stood in the middle of the living room and looked at the stack of mail on the table. Most of it was bills. One envelope had the old company logo in the corner. I hadn't opened it. I knew what it would say. Final notice on the remaining assets. They had been picking through the bones for months. I picked up the envelope and tore it in half. The sound was loud in the empty room. Then I sat on the couch and waited for night to come. The first cliffhanger hit when Liam's key turned in the lock at 6:47 p.m. He wasn't alone. Stella was with him. She was wearing the red blazer she used to wear to client meetings, the one that used to be mine. She smiled at me like we were still friends. Harper, you look tired. I didn't smile back. You're early. Liam closed the door behind them. We need to settle this before it gets worse. Stella sat on the arm of the couch without being invited. Liam told me about the investigator. We're worried about you. This obsession isn't healthy. I stayed standing, the obsession with getting my name off the fraud complaints you filed. Her smile didn't move. You know, that's not what happened. You made mistakes. We tried to protect the business, that's all. Liam stayed by the door. His arms were crossed. We have a proposal. You sign a release on any future claims. We keep the current clients. You get a small settlement, enough to start over somewhere else. We can even help with the move. Stella nodded. It's generous. Considering. I looked at her. Considering what? Considering you tried to take the company down with you when you left. The second mini cliffhanger arrived in the silence after her sentence. Because I hadn't left. They had pushed me out with forged documents and a Port Authority complaint that made every client nervous. I had spent 8 months proving I hadn't done what they said. By then, the clients were gone, and the bank had called the remaining loans. I felt the old anger try to rise. I let it sit in my chest and then let it go. Anger was expensive. I had learned that in the first year. I walked to the kitchen counter where my bag was. I took out the small recorder Wyatt had given me. I set it on the counter and pressed record. Stella's eyes followed the motion. "What are you doing, making sure we all remember the same conversation?" Liam pushed off the door. "Turn that off." "No." Stella stood up. The red blazer caught the light from the cheap overhead fixture. "You're making this harder than it has to be. We're trying to help you. You're trying to buy my silence before the district attorney sees the wire transfer to your brother's account." The words landed. Stella's face changed for half a second. Then the smile came back tighter. "You don't have proof of that. I have Juniper Simmons's affidavit, and the original signature cards, and 43 audio files from the last 4 months." Liam took a step forward. "What audio files?" I didn't answer. "I let the recorder keep running." Stella looked at Liam. Something passed between them. Then she turned back to me. "If you do this, you lose everything. Nova loses everything. Think about your daughter." I met her eyes. I have been thinking about her every day for 3 years. The recorder kept turning. Liam's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, read the screen. His face went still. He looked at Stella. "We need to go." She didn't argue. She picked up her purse. At the door, she paused. "This doesn't end the way you think it will, Harper." I didn't reply. They left. The door clicked shut. I stopped the recorder. My hands were steady. My breathing was steady, but something had shifted in the room. The air felt thinner. I picked up my phone and texted Wyatt and Indigo the same message. "They know. Move now." Then I sat on the couch and waited for the next move. The story wasn't finished. It had only just started to cost them something. The text went through. Wyatt replied with one word: "Copy." Indigo sent a single photo of her car parked across the street, headlights off. I set the phone on the coffee table and waited. Liam came back alone at 8:12. He didn't knock. He used his key. Stella wasn't with him this time. He closed the door and stood in the entryway like he was deciding whether to come all the way in. "You played a recording," he said. I stayed on the couch. I have 43 of them. Nova made most of them without anyone knowing. He didn't move closer. "You used our daughter to spy on us." "No. She started doing it because she heard you and Stella talking about moving money after I left. She thought if she saved the words, someone would believe her later. She's 6. She still thinks words can fix things." Liam's hands stayed at his sides. "Delete them." "I already sent copies to 3 places. One of them is with the district attorney's office." Wyatt filed the initial report this afternoon. He finally stepped into the room. He didn't sit. "You're going to destroy what's left of this family over money that was already gone." The money wasn't gone. It was moved to Stella's brother's account and then split into 3 companies that still hold active contracts with 2 of the port clients I brought in. Juniper Simmons at the bank has the original signature cards. The ones you used don't match. She's signing an affidavit tomorrow. Liam's mouth tightened at the name. He hadn't expected Juniper. Stella's brother did what we asked him to do. That doesn't make it theft. It makes it wire fraud. And the loan documents you showed me this morning are the same. Forged signatures, notarized after I was already out of the company. The notary is the same one Stella's brother uses for his real estate deals. That's easy to prove. I reached for the tablet on the cushion beside me. I opened the hidden folder and selected one file. I didn't play it yet. "Before you decide what to do next, you should hear this one." I pressed play. Stella's voice came through first clear and impatient. If she pushes back on the settlement, we move the remaining accounts to the new LLC. Liam already signed the authorization. She won't see it until the next quarter statement. Liam's voice answered lower. She's too busy with the warehouse job and the kid to notice. By the time she figures it out, the clients will already be under the new contracts. Then Nova's small voice in the background, barely audible, "Mommy, are you coming home soon?" The recording stopped. Liam stared at the tablet like it had burned him. "You can't use that. It's a child's device. It won't hold up. It already has." Wyatt had a forensic tech pull the metadata this afternoon. Timestamp, location, everything. It matches the dates on the wire transfers. He sat down on the chair across from me without being asked. The first time he had sat in this apartment in months. "What do you want?" he asked. "I want the company name cleared. I want the fraud complaints withdrawn. I want the remaining assets unfrozen so I can pay the lawyers and the back taxes. And I want Stella's brother to turn himself in before the district attorney knocks on his door." Liam shook his head once. "Stella won't agree to that." "Stella already lost?" "She just doesn't know it yet." My phone buzzed on the table. A text from Luna. "Someone came to the door asking for you. Said they were from the bank. I told them you weren't home. They left a card. Name is Juniper Simmons. I read it twice, then I showed Liam the screen. She's not waiting until tomorrow," I said. She's moving now because she knows you're going to try to clean the accounts tonight." Liam stood up. He didn't reach for the door. He looked at the tablet again. "If I tell Stella what you have, she'll leave. She'll take whatever she can move in the next 12 hours and disappear. Then you should decide whose side you're on before she does." He stayed standing for a long moment. Then he walked to the door, opened it, and left without another word. The apartment was quiet again. I picked up the phone and called Wyatt. "He knows everything," I said. "He went to warn Stella." Wyatt didn't sound surprised. "Good. That means they'll move fast. Indigo is still outside. She'll follow if either of them leaves with boxes or drives toward the bank." "I need you to do something else," I said. "Call Juniper Simmons. Tell her I want to meet tonight. Not at the bank, somewhere public. She can bring the affidavit draft." Harper, if you meet her now, they'll know you're accelerating." "They already know. I'm just making sure they can't outrun it." I hung up. Luna texted again 10 minutes later. The man from the bank came back. He had someone with him this time. They asked if Nova was here. I said no. They left again. I stared at the message. They were checking on Nova. Not because they cared, because they wanted to know if I had moved her somewhere safe. I texted Luna back, "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone. I'll be there in 40 minutes. Then I called Indigo. "Follow Liam if he leaves his place. Don't get close. Just tell me where he goes." "Already in the car," she said. "He just pulled out, heading toward Stella's building." I put the phone down. The second mini cliffhanger arrived when my screen lit up with an unknown number. I answered. Harper Quinn, a woman's voice, calm, professional. "Yes, this is Juniper Simmons. I'm at the coffee shop on Navigation, the one with the blue awning. I have the affidavit and the original signature cards. Wyatt said you wanted to meet tonight." "I'm on my way." I grabbed my bag and the tablet. I didn't lock the apartment door behind me, and there was nothing left in it worth taking. On the drive, I kept the windows down. The air smelled like diesel and salt from the channel. I didn't turn on the radio. When I pulled into the lot, Juniper was already at a table near the window. She had a thin folder and a manila envelope. She looked exactly like the branch manager who had once approved my first business loan, steady, careful, not easily rattled. I sat across from her. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. "They know I pulled the records. I know." She slid the folder across the table. "These are the originals from 2023. The ones Liam and Stella used to open the new accounts after you were gone." Your signature is on file from the original loan. The new ones don't match the pressure or the slant. A handwriting expert will see it in 10 minutes. I opened the folder. The pages were crisp. The notary stamp on the bottom right was the same one Liam had shown me that morning. Juniper watched me read. I already sent copies to the district attorney's financial crimes unit. They're opening a case number tonight. If Liam or Stella try to move anything else, it will trigger an immediate freeze. I closed the folder. Thank you. She didn't smile. I liked working with you before all this. You paid your loans on time. You didn't lie on applications. That matters to me. She stood up. I'll be at the bank tomorrow at 8. If they send anyone to intimidate me, I'll call the police. You should do the same if they come near your daughter. She left without waiting for an answer. I stayed at the table. The coffee I hadn't ordered sat in front of me untouched. My phone buzzed. Indigo. Liam went to Stella's. They argued in the parking lot for 4 minutes. She got in her car and drove toward the highway. He followed. I'm 2 cars back. I typed back, don't lose them. Tell Wyatt their direction. Then I called Luna. I'm coming to get Nova. Be ready in 15 minutes. She's already packed a bag, Luna said. She asked if we were going somewhere safe. Tell her yes. I hung up. The tablet sat on the seat beside me. I opened the hidden folder one more time and selected the longest recording, the one from last week, the one where Stella and Liam talked about what they would do if I ever found the wire transfers. I didn't play it. I forwarded the file to Wyatt with one line. Send this to the DA with the rest. Timestamp it. Then I started the car. The highway was mostly empty this late. I kept checking the rearview mirror even though no one was following me. Old habit. When I reached Luna's apartment, she was waiting at the curb with Nova. Nova had her unicorn backpack and the small tablet she used for schoolwork. She climbed into the back seat without asking where we were going. Luna leaned in the window. They came back once more after you called. Same 2 men. They didn't say anything this time, just looked at the building. Did they see you? No. I stayed inside with the lights off. Good. Don't go back to the apartment tonight. Stay with a friend. Luna nodded. She didn't ask questions. She never had. I drove away from the curb. Nova spoke from the back seat after 2 blocks. Mom, are we going to Grandpa's? No, baby. We're going to a hotel for a couple nights. Just until things settle. She was quiet. Then did Dad do something bad again? I kept my eyes on the road. Yes. She didn't ask anything else. She opened her backpack and took out a small notebook she'd started keeping. She wrote something in it with the stub of a pencil. I didn't ask what. My phone buzzed again. Wyatt this time. DA is moving on the brother tonight. They want you to come in tomorrow morning with everything. Juniper's affidavit already landed. They're treating it as priority. I replied with one word, understood. Then another text came through from an unknown number. It was Stella. You should have taken the settlement. Now Nova gets to watch her mother destroy what's left of her family. Congratulations. I didn't reply. I drove to the hotel I had already paid for in cash 2 weeks earlier. The one near the airport with weekly rates and no questions. I had the key card in my bag. When we checked in, Nova went straight to the bed and climbed under the covers with her notebook. She didn't turn on the television. I sat at the small desk by the window and opened the laptop I had kept in the trunk. I logged into the secure folder Wyatt had set up. All the files were there. The loan documents, the wire confirmations, the 43 audio files, Juniper's affidavit draft, Indigo's photos of Liam and Stella arguing in the parking lot, the metadata from Nova's tablet. I clicked the button to send the entire folder to the district attorney's secure drop. The progress bar moved slowly. When it finished, I closed the laptop. Nova's voice came from the bed, small and steady. Mom. Yes. If they go to jail, will I still see Dad? Sometimes. I turned in the chair. She was looking at the ceiling, not at me. I don't know yet. I said, we'll figure it out together. She nodded once, like that was enough for now. I turned back to the window. The runway lights blinked in the distance. Planes took off every few minutes. The sound was steady, predictable. My phone lit up one last time. A text from Indigo. They stopped at a storage unit near the port. Stella went inside with 2 bags. Liam stayed in the car. I got photos of the unit number. Want me to send them now? I typed back, send them. Then go home. You've done enough. She replied with a thumbs up. I set the phone down. The room was quiet except for the low hum of the air conditioner and Nova's even breathing. I had started the day with Liam confronting me over breakfast. I was ending it in a hotel room with my daughter asleep and every piece of evidence I had spent 3 years collecting now in the hands of people who could actually do something with it. It wasn't finished. They would fight. They would try to discredit the recordings, the signatures, the timeline. They would use Nova if they could. But the cost had finally started moving in their direction instead of mine. I stayed at the desk until the sky outside began to lighten. Then I lay down on the second bed without taking off my shoes. Sleep didn't come. I didn't expect it to. The next move belonged to the district attorney now. And to whatever Liam and Stella decided to do with the few hours they had left before the first warrants were issued. I closed my eyes anyway. The story kept moving whether I slept or not. The sky was turning gray when I opened my eyes. Nova was already awake, sitting at the small table with her notebook open. She looked up when I sat up, but didn't smile. "Did you sleep?" she asked. "Some." She went back to whatever she was writing. I didn't ask. I got up, washed my face in the small bathroom, and checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Wyatt, 1 text from Luna confirming she could take Nova for the day. I called Wyatt back. "DA wants you there at 10, he said. "Liam and Stella are bringing lawyers. The brother is already in custody. He tried to move another $40,000 last night. The bank froze it before it cleared." I looked at Nova. She was still writing. I need to get her somewhere safe first. "Luna's already on the way. Meet me at the DA's office after you drop her." I hung up and turned to Nova. "Luna is coming to stay with you today. I have to go talk to some people about what happened." She closed the notebook. "Is it about Dad?" "Yes." She nodded once. "Okay." Luna arrived 20 minutes later. She didn't ask questions when I handed her the key card and told her to stay in the room. Nova hugged me quickly and went back to the table without looking back. I drove to the district attorney's office downtown. Wyatt was waiting in the lobby with a thick folder. He didn't say much. He just handed me a visitor badge and walked me through security. The conference room was plain. Table, chairs, a screen on the wall. 2 assistant district attorneys were already there. One of them, a woman in her 40s named Ramirez, stood when I came in. "Ms. Quinn, we've reviewed the files you sent. The audio the bank records the affidavit from Ms. Simmons. It's strong. We're moving on all 3 today." I sat down. "What does that mean for me?" "It means the fraud complaints against you get withdrawn. By end of day, the remaining company assets that were frozen under the old complaints will be released to you once we confirm no further movement. Your name gets cleared on the public record." Wyatt set the folder on the table. "And Liam and Stella." Ramirez looked at her colleague. "We have warrants ready for both of them on conspiracy to commit wire fraud and filing false instruments. Stella's brother is already talking. He's trying to cut a deal. He named both of them as the ones who directed the transfers." The door opened. Liam walked in first, followed by Stella and two lawyers in dark suits. Stella didn't look at me. Liam did. His face was blank. Ramirez didn't waste time. We have evidence that you and Ms. Morgan directed the creation of false loan documents and unauthorized wire transfers totaling over $200,000 after Ms. Quinn was removed from the company. We also have multiple audio recordings of you discussing those transfers and planning further movement of assets. One of the lawyers started to speak. Ramirez raised a hand. We're not here to negotiate yet. We're here to show you what we have so you understand the position you're in. She nodded to her colleague. The screen lit up. A single audio file played. Stella's voice filled the room. If she ever finds the wire to my brother, we say Liam signed everything after she left. She has no proof otherwise. The notary won't talk. Liam's voice answered. And if she pushes on the settlement, we use the kid. She won't risk Nova finding out her mother tried to steal from the company. The recording stopped. Stella's lawyer leaned forward. That could be edited. Context missing. Ramirez clicked to the next file. Metadata filled the screen. Timestamp. Device ID from Nova's tablet. Location data matching the apartment on the night the conversation happened. Stella finally looked at me. Her face had gone pale under the makeup. You used your own daughter, she said quietly. I kept my voice even. She recorded it because she heard you planning how to keep lying. She thought someone should remember the truth. Liam's lawyer tried again. This is still a family matter. We can work out a civil resolution without criminal charges. Ramirez closed the laptop. The state doesn't see it that way. The warrants are signed. You can turn yourselves in by noon or we send officers to your addresses. Stella stood up. Her chair scraped the floor. This is because she couldn't accept that the company moved on without her. I answered before anyone else could. The company didn't move on. You stole it. And then ran it into the ground while ye blaming me for the fraud you created. I have the original contracts. I have the client emails you changed. I have the bank records Juniper Simmons pulled before you could alter them. This ends today. Liam looked at me for a long moment. Then he turned to his lawyer. We'll turn ourselves in. Stella started to argue. He cut her off with a look. She closed her mouth. They left with their lawyers. Ramirez waited until the door closed. We'll need you to come back this afternoon to sign the withdrawal of the complaints against you. The asset release should process within 48 hours. After that, you're free to do what you want with what's left. I nodded, thank you. Wyatt walked me out. In the hallway, he said, you did it. Most people don't get this far. I didn't feel like I had done anything except stop waiting. I need to pick up Nova, I said. He didn't try to shake my hand. He just nodded and let me go. Luna and Nova were still in the hotel room when I got back. Nova was coloring in her notebook. She looked up when I came in. Is it over? She asked. The part with the police is starting, I said. The part with us is just beginning. We packed what little we had brought. Luna helped without being asked. I paid her for the week and told her I would call when I knew where we were landing. That afternoon, I signed the papers at the DA's office. By the next morning, the fraud complaints against me were gone from every public database. The remaining accounts that had been frozen were released into my name. It wasn't the full amount they had taken. It was enough to pay the lawyers, clear the last debts, and give Nova and me a few months to decide what came next. Liam turned himself in at noon the day after. Stella followed 2 hours later. Their lawyers tried to argue for bail. The judge denied it for both of them after seeing the recordings and the wire trail. Stella's brother had already given a full statement, naming them as the ones who told him exactly how to move the money and what to say if anyone asked. I didn't go to the hearings. I sent everything through Wyatt. I didn't want to see their faces again. 3 weeks later, I met Liam in a small conference room with our lawyers and a court-appointed mediator. Nova stayed with Luna. I had already decided what I wanted. I want full legal custody with no direct contact, I told him across the table. You can write letters if you want. I'll read them to her when she's older if she asks. But no visits, no calls, no messages until she's old enough to decide for herself. His lawyer started to object. Liam raised a hand. She's 6, he said. She doesn't need to watch this anymore. I looked at him. The man who had once helped me build the first client list. The man who had stood next to me when we signed the original papers. He looked smaller now. Not broken, just finished. I know, I said. We signed the agreement. He didn't try to negotiate. Stella didn't come to the meeting. I never spoke to her again. The friendship that had lasted since we were 22 was over. Not because of one fight. Because she had chosen to help him erase me and then tried to use my daughter as leverage when it started to fall apart. That kind of choice doesn't get walked back. I sold what was left of the old company name and client list to a larger firm in Dallas. They paid enough to clear the last debts and give us a cushion. I kept nothing with the old logo. I didn't want the reminder. Nova and I moved to a smaller apartment on the north side of Houston. Same city, new zip code, new school. She started seeing a therapist once a week. The therapist said she was processing the instability. I sat in the waiting room during every session and didn't ask what they talked about. Nova would tell me when she was ready. Some nights she still asked about her father. I answered the same way every time. He made choices that hurt people. He has to answer for them now. That doesn't mean he didn't love you. It means love wasn't enough to stop him from doing the wrong thing. She would nod and go back to whatever she was doing. She was learning the same way I had learned that some explanations don't make the facts smaller. I started a small consulting practice from the kitchen table, just me, a laptop, and the handful of clients who had stayed in touch after everything came out. I didn't take on partners. I didn't hire anyone I couldn't fire the same day. The new contracts had clear exit clauses and no shared accounts. I reviewed every signature myself. Indigo still sends me contract language when she finds something useful. Juniper Simmons still calls once a month to check that the old bank records are staying clean. Wyatt checks in every few weeks. I answer their calls. I don't invite them to dinner. The lesson arrived slowly, the way most real lessons do. I had spent 3 years believing that if I gathered enough evidence and waited long enough, I could make them pay and still keep some version of the life I had built with them. The truth was simpler and colder. Getting the truth on record cost me the last pieces of that life. The marriage, the friendship. The version of myself that still believed loyalty could survive this kind of betrayal. I chose the boundaries anyway. Nova is 7 now. She still keeps a notebook. She writes down things she hears and things she wonders about. I don't read it. She leaves it on the table sometimes. I think she wants me to know she's still watching, still remembering, still deciding what kind of adult she wants to become. I don't tell her to stop. I just make sure she has enough stability that she doesn't have to record the adults in her life to feel safe. That is the only victory I take credit for. Thank you for listening to my story. If you have ever stayed quiet while someone rewrote the truth around you, how much more would you have let them take before you started keeping your own record?